Okay, in this video we are going to cover a question that I get all the time. How do you put a putter grip on straight? Let's go. Hi everyone, welcome to the Mobile Club Maker. I'm AJ, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Okay, so this video today is all about installing your putter grip straight, making sure it's nice and square. What we're ideally wanting is making sure that this top side of the grip, this flat side, is perpendicular to the face of the putter. Step one, figure out what kind of grip you're using. And specifically, we are looking at where is the flat section of the grip you are using. So something like this Super Stroke grip, if I hold it up like this, looking down the camera, what you see is this grip is flat all the way from the very butt end to the very tip end. It's got these hard rubber ends on them, and it's basically flat the entire length. Now, compare that with a standard, more traditional rubber style grip, and what you notice is it's flat in the middle, but when you get close to either end, it goes from being flat into more of a rounded grip. So this last inch basically up here on the butt end and this last inch down here at the tip are more rounded. So the flat section is really sort of starting an inch in on either end. Now, why is this important? Because the flat section is going to be the obvious giveaway if you haven't done this right. If a grip is not installed correctly, if it's not squared up, the flat section is going to be where things look off. Okay, next thing, we need to look at the putter that you're actually going to be regripping and figure out where are some lines that we can use as our guide when we're installing the grip. Now, the easiest lines to use are going to be some sort of sight lines, like this Scotty Cameron has. This Answer 2 style putter has a very obvious sight line running down the back. This is perfect when you are putting on a new putter grip because this is a great guide to use. You can also find, here's a mallet style grip. Again, it has a shorter sight line on the top, but it has secondary lines more closer to the toe and the heel. Again, all of these lines running parallel. Again, these are perfect when you are installing a new putter grip. Okay, but what if your putter doesn't have a sight line, right? Maybe you have an Answer style putter, but it doesn't have a big obvious sight line like this. Maybe it just has a dot. Maybe it has nothing on it. Maybe, you don't have an actual line. Well, you can next look and see, well, is there somewhere else on the putter head that maybe it doesn't have a drawn on line, but it can act like a line. So this particular putter, you can see when you hold it up, no, it doesn't have a line, but the way that it's shaped, you can kind of see some lines, some parallel lines, basically running where the mass has been positioned in this head. So there's kind of a line up here you can use, and there's kind of a line back here you could use, again, as sight lines, as guides when you're installing that putter grip. Okay, the last case, what if you have something like this bullseye putter, right? Now this just has a dot and has no real shape to the back of it. There's no line and there's no way to really sort of imagine a line on it. What do you do if you have a putter like this? Well, let me show you. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is I'm just gonna put a piece of masking tape right across the top of the head. This putter is a little bit tricky, again, because the shaft is running right into the middle of the head basically, and so there's a lot of angle here to deal with. So we just flatten that tape out as best we can, but you don't even need to use this tape. You could also do this process with a dry erase marker, but we're going to do this with tape and a pencil. So tape right across the crown here. And now I'm just going to put this in my vise just so I have an easier way of holding it, because I'm going to need two hands for this next part. Next thing we're going to do is we're just going to get a basic ruler. And all I'm trying to do here is just get the ruler lined up, the leading edge of the ruler lined up with the face so that they're basically running parallel or running in the same direction. So just trying to work it to make sure I see as best I can the same angle on both. And once I do that, I'm just going to draw a little line on the tape. Now this is probably the hardest putter you could possibly ever do this with because it has a very rounded top line to it, and also, again, the way that the neck connects into the head, it has a big curve. So it's pretty tricky to get that line perfectly straight and make sure that it looks straight. But again, look down at it, putt a couple putts with it, and see if the line looks straight. If you have more of, again, this style of putter, well, this is very easy to make lines on because you can just take the ruler, lean it up, stick it back here in the cavity, right up against the back of the putter, and draw your lines, and you know that it's going to be perfectly perpendicular to the face. Okay, so we know where the flat surfaces are on our putter grip, and we know what lines we're going to use, or we've drawn on some lines to use to help us get that putter grip on straight. The last thing to do is actually install the grip. Now, just in case you're wondering, this is not something I would be using compressed air for. I know I've done a few videos about using compressed air to put grips on, and I think it's a great method to use. But when it comes to putter grips, I don't like using compressed air. The little fine tuning that you need to do with a putter grip is really best served when you are using grip solvent and grip tape. You've got a little more time. You can be a little bit more delicate with the changes you may need to make. Compressed air, it's a little bit harder to really fine tune things. So I would leave compressed air for some of your other grips and stick to solvent and tape for putter grips. First thing we want to do, obviously making sure that the putter is in your vise, nice and square and straight. Next up, let's get a piece of tape. I also like to use a good amount of solvent when I'm putting a putter grip on. Again, making sure that it gives me as much time as possible in case I need to make any sort of little changes, little adjustments. Using more solvent will make that easier. Okay, so we've got lots of solvent on there. Go ahead and slide this on, and then we'll talk about making those adjustments. All right, make sure it's all the way on, of course. Give it a little wiggle down at the end and a little tap. Okay, once we put the grip on, we not only want to make sure now that the entire grip is nice and square and perpendicular to the face, but we also want to make sure that each section, right? Because this grip is soft, it can bend around. So you can have cases where maybe the butt end of the grip is maybe nice and straight, but the tip end maybe got bent a little bit, maybe is a little crooked, or vice versa. So what we really want to check for now is making sure that each section of the grip, the back, the mid, and the tip, are all still nice and perpendicular to the face. So what you'll see here, if I move this head around a little bit, as I rock it back and forth, hopefully you can see this, but as I try to line up this back portion of the grip, it's going to line up more closely with this upper line, this line closer to the toe. The midsection is going to line up more closely to the middle line, and down here at the tip section of the grip, it's going to line up more closely to this line on the heel. So in this case, you've got this one putter with 3 sight lines, and you can use all 3 sight lines to help get this grip dialed in. Now this putter only has that one sight line, but we have up here this sort of makeshift line that we can kind of see here just based off of the shape of the head, and another one down here on the heel. And again, as we rotate, or as we tilt the putter up and down, you can see how if we want to line up the back section of the grip, we can line it up with this back part or this side closer to the toe, the midsection with that center sight line. And if we're trying to get the tip section lined up, well, there it's going to line up more closely with this heel line here. Now look, you're not always going to have, like we talked about, multiple sight lines. This putter right here is great for regripping because it gives you that nice obvious line in the middle and then gives you these very long obvious lines on the toe and the heel. That makes it very simple. And if we go to something like that Answer style putter, again, it has that very obvious center line, but you can sort of makeshift. You can see those other lines just based off of the shape of the putter. Some putters aren't going to give you those sorts of lines, right? You either don't have a line at all, or maybe there's only one line. And in that case, again, we can go back to our ruler trick. If you've got one good line on there, you can easily draw a second good line just using that ruler. And again, when you're putting the putter grip on, having a third sight line can make it much easier to make sure not only the midsection of the grip is on straight, but the butt end and the tip end, that the entire thing together, you know, is all running nice and parallel, nice and even, and all parts of this grip are going to be perpendicular to the head. If you enjoyed this video, please go down below, like, comment, and subscribe. And if you haven't, hit the bell icon so you'll be alerted when I post new videos. I'm on Patreon. You can find me at AJ Golf, and I'm also on Instagram. You can find me there at Mobile Club Maker. Happy Thanksgiving. We will see you next time. Bye.